All right, hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. So today, we're going to go beyond the lightning bolts and really explore the surprisingly complex character of Zeus. You all sent in some really interesting excerpts about him, and we're excited to help you unpack all of this stuff.
It's true. There's much more to Zeus than just the kind of like the thunderbolt-wielding king image.
Right, exactly. Okay, so let's just start with the basics here. Zeus wasn't exactly born with a silver spoon in his mouth, right? I mean, his family tree, it's basically a Greek tragedy just waiting to happen.
That's a great way to put it. His father, Cronus, was the youngest of the Titans, and he had a bit of a problem with prophecies. He heard he was destined to be overthrown by one of his own children, just like he overthrew his father Uranus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So instead of family therapy, he went with a more drastic solution?
Exactly. Cronus decided to swallow each of his children as soon as they were born.
Oh, my God.
You can imagine how well that went over with his wife, Rhea.
I can't even imagine the dinner conversations at that house. But Rhea was a clever one, wasn't she? She managed to outsmart Cronus and save Zeus from becoming a midnight snack.
She certainly did. She tricked Cronus by swapping baby Zeus for a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes and whisked the real baby off to a secret cave on the island of Crete.
Oh, wow.
This myth is a classic example of how intelligence and cunning can triumph over brute force, a theme that we see throughout Zeus's story.
Right, yeah, really interesting. And this whole prophecy thing about being overthrown, that must really stuck with Zeus, right? It kind of sets the stage for his entire journey.
Absolutely. Growing up in hiding, knowing that his father was this, power-hungry titan who devoured his own children, probably shaped Zeus's worldview in some pretty profound ways. It makes his eventual rise to power even more dramatic.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about that rise to power. I mean, it wasn't exactly a smooth transition, was it? This wasn't just your typical, son inherits the family business kind of scenario.
Yeah, no, not at all. Once Zeus was grown, he confronted Cronus and forced him to disgorge his swallowed siblings. Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. Talk about a family reunion.
I bet that was an awkward Thanksgiving dinner. But it gets even more epic from there, right? I mean, they didn't just sit down for a nice family meal and hash things out.
No. They launched an all-out war against the Titans, known as the Titanomachy. It was a battle for control of the cosmos, with the Olympians led by Zeus on one side and the Titans led by Cronus on the other.
Okay, so now I know movies tend to portray these events as, just a bunch of gods and titans throwing lightning bolts and smashing mountains and stuff. But there's got to be more to it than that, right?
There's always more to these myths than meets the eye. The Titanomachy wasn't just about brute force. It was a clash between two worldviews, two different ways of ordering the cosmos. The Titans represented this more primal, chaotic force, while the Olympians, under Zeus's leadership, symbolized a shift towards order and structure.
Oh, interesting. So even in these ancient myths, we see these recurring themes that resonate throughout human history: order versus chaos, the old giving way to the new.
Exactly. And it's important to note that Zeus didn't win this war simply through strength. He was a brilliant strategist.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that. What kind of strategies did Zeus employ? I'm picturing him with like a whiteboard drawing up battle plans.
Well, one of his key moves was forming alliances. He freed the Cyclops and the Hundred Handers, these powerful beings who had been imprisoned by the Titans. These new allies, grateful for their freedom, crafted Zeus's legendary thunderbolts and helped him turn the tide of the war.
So it wasn't just raw power that led to victory, but alliances, strategy, a bit of political maneuvering. It sounds almost human.
It does, doesn't it? And that's one of the things that makes these myths so compelling. They reflect human experiences, even on this, grand cosmic scale. Zeus's victory established him as the king of the gods, ushering in a new era of Olympian rule. But as we'll see, maintaining that power was a whole different challenge.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes it a good story, right? No one wants to hear about a god who just sits around on a throne all day.
Exactly. And Zeus's story is far from over. Even after defeating the Titans, he faced threats to his power, both from external forces and from within his own family. But we'll delve into those challenges in the next part of our deep dive.
This is getting good. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore the battles, betrayals, and maybe even a bit of romance in the life of Zeus. Welcome back. Last time we left off with Zeus triumphantly overthrowing the Titans and establishing a new order in the cosmos, but it sounds like his troubles were far from over.
That's right. Even with the Titans out of the picture, there were other forces that challenged Zeus's authority and pushed him to his limits.
Okay, so who is brave enough or maybe foolish enough to take on the king of the gods?
Well, first there are the giants. Now, these weren't just your average oversized folks. They were born from the blood of Uranus
Mm.
when Cronus, well, let's just say he wasn't exactly a gentle father.
Right.
These giants were colossal and powerful, driven by a desire for revenge against the Olympians.
It seems like holding grudges was a bit of a family trait, but why target Zeus specifically?
The giants saw Zeus as the ultimate symbol of the Olympians' power. Defeating him would mean dismantling the new order he'd established and
Yeah.
avenging the Titans.
So this wasn't just a bar fight between a couple of grumpy gods. This was a clash of ideologies, a struggle for control of the cosmos. It sounds intense.
It was. This clash, known as the Gigantomachy, was a brutal, earth-shaking conflict. Mountains were hurled like pebbles, and the very foundations of the world trembled. But there's a fascinating twist to this story. According to prophecy, the gods couldn't defeat the giants without the help of a mortal.
Wait, immortal? That's a pretty big admission of vulnerability for the supposedly all-powerful king of the gods. Who was this mortal champion?
None other than Heracles, known for his incredible strength and legendary deeds.
No, wow.
But even with Heracles on their side, Zeus had to resort to some pretty clever tactics.
Hmm.
He knew Gaia, the primordial earth goddess and mother of the giants, would try to protect her offspring.
So what did Zeus do? Did he pull a sneaky move?
He did. Zeus knew he had to act strategically. He stopped the sun and the moon from shining, plunging the world into darkness so he could harvest a special herb that made the giants vulnerable. It's a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming force, cunning and intelligence can be powerful weapons.
I love how these myths show us that strength isn't always about brute force. Sometimes it's about knowing when to strike and when to use your wits.
Exactly, and in the end, it was a combination of Heracles' strength and Zeus's strategic brilliance that led to victory. Heracles, with his God-given arrows, delivered the final blows, slaying the giants and securing the Olympians' rule.
Well, that takes care of the angry giants, but weren't there other challenges to Zeus's power?
Oh, absolutely. The giants were just one of many tests. There was another, even more terrifying threat, Typhon.
Okay, tell me about this Typhon. What made him so scary?
Imagine a creature so monstrous that even the gods trembled at its sight. Typhon was the offspring of Gaia and Tartarus, the embodiment of chaos and destruction. He had 100 snake heads that spewed fire and venom, a voice that could shake the heavens and wings that blotted out the sun.
Okay, that sounds like something straight out of my nightmares. What did Typhon want?
He wanted what many challengers before him had desired, to overthrow Zeus and rule the cosmos. It was a clash between order and chaos, stability and primal fury.
So how did this epic showdown go down? Was it another easy win for Zeus?
Not quite. This was perhaps Zeus's greatest challenge. Some accounts tell of a swift victory with Zeus's thunderbolts quickly dispatching the monster. But other versions paint a much more harrowing picture, according to some. Typhon's power was so immense that the gods, terrified, fled to Egypt, disguising themselves as animals to escape his wrath.
Wait, the gods ran away. That's incredible. What about Zeus? Did he flee too?
No. Zeus stood his ground. He faced Typhon alone, wielding his thunderbolt, and a sickle given to him by his grandmother Gaia. The battle raged across the land, a cosmic storm of fire lightning and monstrous fury, but even Zeus, with all his power, was pushed to his limits. Typhon managed to overpower him, tearing out his sinews and imprisoning him in a cave, a symbolic castration that represented the potential for even the most powerful god to be humbled.
Wow, so even Zeus wasn't invincible. But how did he escape? Surely the story doesn't end there.
It doesn't. Hermes in Japan, known for their cunning and stealth, managed to infiltrate Typhon's lair and steal back Zeus's sinews, restoring his strength, reinvigorated. Zeus pursued Typhon, eventually trapping him under Mount Etna, where his fiery breath still fuels the volcano's eruptions.
So even in defeat, Typhon's power continued to be felt. It's a reminder that chaos and destruction, while dangerous, are also forces of nature that can't be entirely eradicated.
Exactly, and this story shows us that even the mighty Zeus had his vulnerabilities. He could be wounded, outsmarted, even imprisoned, but it also highlights his resilience, his ability to bounce back from defeat and ultimately restore order.
It makes him a much more relatable character, right? He's not just some distant, perfect deity. He experiences struggles and setbacks just like we do.
Precisely, these challenges make his victories even more meaningful. They show us that true strength lies not in avoiding weakness, but in overcoming it.
Well, after facing down giants and monstrous creatures like Typhon, you'd think Zeus would deserve a little peace and quiet. But we all know that family drama is never far behind.
Oh, absolutely. And when it comes to family drama, Zeus's love life was shall we say, legendary, but that's a story for another time.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll delve into Zeus's complicated relationships, his interactions with humans, and the lasting legacy of this complex and compelling god. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Zeus. We've explored his family drama, his rise to power, and those epic challenges that he faced, but now we're kind of shifting focus here to explore his relationship with humanity. And from what I've gathered, it's a little bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Zeus's attitude toward humans is complex and often contradictory. Sometimes he's a protector, dispenser of justice, even a source of gifts. But then there are also myths that depict him as a punisher, a figure who wields his power, with a heavy hand.
So it's like he can't decide if he wants to be our best friend or our worst enemy. I mean, he's responsible for giving us fire, right? That's pretty generous.
Well, not directly. The myth of Prometheus is a key example of this complex relationship.
Right.
Prometheus, a titan known for his trickery and intelligence, stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity, defying Zeus's explicit orders.
Right. And Zeus was not one to let a little act of defiance go unpunished.
No, not at all.
I mean, that whole chained to a rock with an eagle eating your liver thing seems a bit harsh, even for a god.
It does, doesn't it? But this myth highlights the tension between divine power and human ambition. Zeus, as the upholder of cosmic order, couldn't allow such a blatant challenge to his authority.
So it was more about maintaining control than being cruel. Or maybe a bit of both.
It's likely a combination of factors. I mean, these myths often serve multiple purposes.
Yeah.
They entertain, they teach moral lessons, and they reflect the anxieties and beliefs of the culture that created them.
Right.
So in the case of Prometheus, the myth might reflect a fear of human overreach, the potential for our ingenuity to lead us into dangerous territory.
It's interesting to consider those, deeper layers of meaning, but Prometheus wasn't the only time Zeus meted out punishment, right? There's that whole Pandora's box incident, which wasn't exactly the best housewarming gift.
That's another fascinating example of Zeus's ambivalent relationship with humanity.
Okay.
The story goes that Zeus, angered by Prometheus's actions, decided to punish humanity further.
Okay.
He created Pandora, the first woman, and gave her a jar, often depicted as a box filled with all sorts of evils, disease, suffering, strife, and hardship.
So not exactly a box of chocolates.
Right.
What was Zeus hoping to achieve with this rather sinister gift?
Well, it's open to interpretation.
Sure.
Some see it as a purely vengeful act, a way for Zeus to inflict pain on humanity for daring to challenge him. Others suggest that it was a necessary step in human development, a way to introduce hardship and suffering into the world, forcing humans to grapple with the complexities of existence.
It's like he's saying, okay, you want fire, you want knowledge. Well, here's the full package with all the good and the bad that comes with it.
Exactly. It suggests that human progress isn't without its costs, and that true knowledge involves understanding both the light and the darkness within ourselves and the world around us.
And let's not forget the Great Flood, another instance where Zeus seems to, flex his divine muscles.
That's right. In this myth, Zeus, appalled by the wickedness and corruption of humanity, decides to wipe the slate clean with a devastating flood. Only a few righteous individuals like Deucalion and Pyrrha are spared to repopulate the world.
Talk about a divine reset button.
Right.
It seems like Zeus, despite being the king of the gods, wasn't afraid to use his power to enforce his will, even if it meant, pretty drastic measures.
This myth raises questions about the nature of divine justice. The balance between mercy and punishment. Is Zeus a benevolent protector or a stern judge? Or perhaps both?
It definitely paints a picture of a god who's not afraid to make tough decisions, even if those decisions have devastating consequences.
And it's important to remember that these myths weren't just stories.
Right.
They were woven into the fabric of ancient Greek life, shaping their understanding of the world, their relationship with the divine, and their own place in the cosmic order.
So it wasn't just entertainment. It was a way of, making sense of life's complexities, the good and the bad, the triumphs and the tragedies.
Precisely. And speaking of complexities, we can't forget Zeus's role in one of the most famous stories of all time, the Trojan War.
Ah, yes. The war that launched 1,000 ships and inspired countless works of art and literature. What was Zeus's part in all this?
His role is fascinating and multifaceted. In the Iliad, Homer's epic poem about the Trojan War, Zeus is depicted as a powerful, yet often conflicted figure.
Okay.
He's constantly being pulled in different directions by the various gods who favor one side or the other.
So it's like he's trying to be a neutral party, the ultimate referee in this divine showdown.
He tries to maintain a semblance of neutrality, but he also has his own agendas and preferences.
Right.
He sends Agamemnon, the leader of the Greeks, a deceptive dream that leads to disaster. He prohibits the gods from directly intervening in the battle, yet he also makes decisions that sway the tide of the war in subtle ways.
It sounds like he's playing a dangerous game.
Trying to maintain order while also indulging his own whims and desires.
Exactly. And it's this complexity that makes him such a compelling character. He's not simply a force for good or evil. He's a mix of both. A powerful being wrestling with his own internal conflicts and the weight of his responsibilities.
It makes you wonder if he ever wished he could just step back, let the humans sort things out on their own.
Perhaps. But where's the fun in that? And it's
Fun.
important to note that Zeus wasn't just this monolithic figure. He was worshipped in different ways throughout the Greek world, with various epithets highlighting specific aspects of his authority.
You mean like nicknames? So it's like Zeus had a different persona for every occasion. Exactly. For example, Zeus Agorius was the protector of the marketplace, while Zeus Senios watched over hospitality and guests.
Okay.
Zeus Horkios was the keeper of oaths, ensuring that agreements and promises were honored.
It's almost like he was a brand with different product lines, each catering to a specific need or concern.
That's a great analogy. And these variations reflect the diverse ways in which different communities conceived of and interacted with the divine.
So even within ancient Greece, there was no one-size-fits-all Zeus.
Right.
He was a god who could be shaped and molded to fit the beliefs and needs of each community.
And his influence didn't stop there. Zeus's image and the myths surrounding him have resonated throughout Western culture, inspiring art, literature, philosophy, and even modern psychology.
It's amazing to think that these stories, created thousands of years ago, continue to captivate and inspire us today.
It's a testament to their enduring power. And it speaks to the enduring fascination we have with power, authority, the complexities of human nature, and the eternal search for meaning in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what key insights can we take away about Zeus?
Well, we've seen that he's far more than just a thunderbolt-wielding king. He's a complex, multifaceted figure, capable of great love and terrible wrath, strategic brilliance and moments of vulnerability.
He's a father, a brother, a lover, a warrior, a king, a judge.
Right.
He's a reflection of ourselves, both in our best and worst moments.
And his story reminds us that power, no matter how vast, comes with responsibilities, challenges, and consequences. It also reminds us that even the gods aren't immune to the complexities of life, the struggles of love, loss, and the eternal battle between order and chaos.
Well, that's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us and sharing all your insights on Zeus. It's been really fascinating.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about Zeus.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to continue your own exploration of this fascinating figure. There's always more to uncover, more layers to peel back, more insights to be gained. Who knows? You might even discover a side of Zeus that surprises you.
Absolutely. The journey of discovery is never ending.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of myth and history.